Hello everyone, my name's Hunter. For this semester in IT project management, the project I used was something I call the bug-free gazebo. I have my proposal up here. It was basically I wanted an area. We have a gazebo out back, and I wanted to cover it in bug netting and hang some lights up and create a door structure for it, so that in the summer we could go out and hang out in like evening hours and not get eaten alive by bugs. Down here I drew a little diagram of the door, in the top left there. That's the uh, how my deck is set up with the gazebo attached to it. The gazebo is actually off the ground about 3 feet. So one of the things to consider was that I needed to put netting under the gazebo, just so that bugs couldn't squeak up in between the cracks of the wood that I had placed there. And then I went through some little tools that I'd need, a drill, a table saw, a hammer, a ladder, and I made a little timeline on how exactly this would go. I only had weekends to work on it with everybody, so that's what I made it based off of. So the September 16th to the 18th was Friday to Sunday, and then I did the 23rd to the 30th, or 23rd, 24th, and then 30th, and October 1st. Those were all weekends that we could work on it, so that it would be ready for the summer of 2023. And here's my full network diagram. Some of them are crossed out. I did not say that I completed the project within the project file, but I have it a decent of the way. And here starts some of the laddering. This was mostly, I had everybody separated when we went to Menards to gather supplies, so each of us could go grab a certain amount of supplies and really make this efficient as possible. Then we'd all meet up back at the cash register. The longest one we had was going to be collecting the lumber and wood stain, which Bruce was responsible for. So that was part of the critical path there. And here we have the assembly of the door and the bug netting onto the gazebo. Each task is just one after another because they all were dependent for the most part. Some of them would take longer than others, like the staining. The staining took about 12 hours, 12 to 16 hours. I think I put it in there as 14, but and then as our last task, I had hanging the Christmas lights for some lighting out there. Next, onto the responsibility portion of the project, I have here each resource or each member, each worker, and the total amount of hours and how much hours and time they spent per task. Now, some of these were a little, I guess, inflated because certain tasks like the staining would only take probably an hour to actually conduct, but the drying process, which I don't know if I would have to, in an actual project environment, if you would have to pay anybody for that, because that could be done overnight. So the work hour is a little bit inflated there, but here's my own hours, 45 hours. And then we had Bruce, 42. He was our main guy for working the tools to cut wood and help make the blueprints for the door and whatnot. He has previous experience in it. Here's Dalton with 40.3 hours. He helped me, Bruce, assemble everything, create blueprints. And then lastly, we have Michaela and Logan. Michaela did 9.65 hours. She mostly helped with acquiring supplies and then hanging Christmas lights and nailing bug mesh onto the open areas of the gazebo. Logan, on the other hand, I added him in here because we had to get somebody to charge the tools, and so that we didn't have a resource over allocation in the project here, I had to assign somebody else to charge the tools. It took 3 hours. I didn't know how to say that he would only actually be on that task for 5 minutes, but we required that the tools be charged before we started any assembly. So next we have here the team planner. We'll start at the beginning here. This just goes through everybody's each individual tasks and when they'd be performed relative to everybody else's. As you can see here, the cut the 2x4s to size was done kind of towards the end of the day, so it got stretched out through Monday evening into Tuesday morning, and then gets completed that next morning. Next, here's my resource sheet. So it has all the resources that were used for this project. I kind of made everybody's pay based off of the previous experience. So Bruce had the higher pay due to the fact that he has done projects like this. He's built his own deck. He has built his own gazebo. So would be best to pay him for his prior experience a little bit higher. Everybody else kind of got the same except for Logan down here, and that's just because he plugged in some tools. So next we had all the materials here and what units they'd be measured in. I also put prices on them based off of Menard's website, and I rounded just a little bit this to kind of accommodate for taxes. Here's my Gantt chart with all the tasks in order, and then also the timeline at which it would be done. See, it gets a little messy with that the shopping right here, but zoom in a little bit. And then we follow along the critical path. And with all these longer tasks, it gets spread over the night and all the way to the end here. So you can see no over allocations. I have some check marks here to display some of the tasks having been done. Next we have some reports here. Here's my resource overview, just displaying how much remaining work needs to be done, how much has been done. Here's the over allocated resources. As you can see, we properly allocated resources within this project, so there should be no over allocations. Next, onto some cost reports. Here's our task cost overview. Here's our resource cost overview, the individual costs of each worker, and based on how much work has actually been done so far down here, and how much is left, a significant amount. And here's a report for our cost overruns. This is each section of the project and how much it actually costed based on work wages and materials. And as we complete this course, I have learned a ton about project management. I've never done this kind of process before, and I think it's crucial that I know that it's done like this before I get into a professional setting here. That way I can be a valued member of a project, the best team player I can be. And if I get into a company where they don't have this process, I might be able to help take some techniques from it and help really give that project the best chance at success. I have definitely seen a proposal before. I used to work in landscaping, but I've never seen the rest of this process really played out. I was never on that side of things. And I'm glad I got to play around with this Microsoft project management software. I think it will be great for assisting me in future projects as I probably get into bigger and bigger projects as I move more into IT here. And I appreciate you, Tyler, for teaching this class to us and opening my eyes to all these great techniques for project management. Thank you.